All right, welcome back to another episode of the Kameo podcast. I am here with, probably the only other person who likes hearing themselves talk more than me.
I know.
In fact, wore a white dress to my wedding. It's none other than Tara Holmes.
Hi, Nevin.
It's been a while.
I know, and let's just correct that. I don't listen to myself talk because I can't go home and listen to myself.
No.
Although on this, I guess I can.
Yeah, totally.
Right on.
And you can chop it up and share your favorite parts out of it.
Oh, right on.
Right? The only parts that you want to share, right? We could talk about many topics, but you want to talk about Stop the Time Change, which it's been a multi-year kind of hustle of you and Bob Dino.
It's I guess it feels like a hustle, but it's 4 years, so I guess let's consider it like a half marathon.
Half marathon, or like a really, really slow crawl.
Yes.
But you finally have
the
government putting. What are they doing exactly? Explain.
Okay. So, there has been a lot of chit-chat for decades. I mean, long before Bob and I sort of amped things up, I've seen old reports. I mean, let's face it. First of all, let's start with the time change. Why do we do the time change? Believe it or not, it was in World War I when the time change started, and the idea was to save energy, to conserve energy for the war on everything. Well, guess what? We just kept this habit going, and over the years, they've realized that this is really outdated. It was outdated like 30 years ago. But
interesting.
Now,
So almost stopping the time change is just admitting that we have different energy sources now than back in World War I.
Yeah, and you know
that's
how
a
many...
whole different conversation that we probably don't want to walk into right now with Andrew Scheer in town.
Yes.
Bing, bang, boom.
Oh, my gosh. And a lot of people, this is really bizarre. There are so many people that still think this was about farming. And they're talking about cows and they're talking about crops. And it never had anything to do with farming. In Saskatchewan, I will point out.
Farmers follow their own schedule. They
Totally.
don't care. They don't care about...
And cows don't care what time it is. They don't. Like, this, Saskatchewan is a farming province. They do not observe the time change. And they're fine. So this has nothing to do with farmers. Yeah.
And I think I remember seeing one of your posts explaining like the amount of workplace accidents that would decrease during that time, because we all have messed up beauty rest sleeps now. No one seems to get a great sleep anymore.
No, and we're busy. Look at people all day. When you talk to someone, you know how many times you say, hey, how are things? You know what they say? Busy. Oh, I'm so busy. My hair's straight back. I mean, who really says, oh, I'm kind of bored these days? Who really says that? Even retired people. You talk to a retired person, they're busier than they ever have been. This society now is stressed.
Oh, I'm bored all the time.
We're distracted. We're just... Go look at you, man. You're like running up and down the streets. You're opening up your microphone. You're just on the go. Everybody is on the go.
I'm so bored though.
Oh, brother. Well, you're the exception. Let's be real.
Thank you.
There's not a lot of people who can get bored because there's no time to get bored. But yeah, it's definitely one of those issues that I think that a lot of people just did the time change because it's what we did. And no, people didn't know that this was like something that we didn't have to do.
How do you think it'll like affect like those who like work remotely across Canada too, right? Like the whole shifting or whatever, right? Like have you spoken to anyone who would be affected either positively or negatively?
Well, we've actually been contacted by different communities all across Canada, right back east, and they really do want BC to start this because they say that if BC starts it, the rest of the country will follow. Alberta kind of tried this, and it really didn't go far enough. There was a bit of opposition, but they didn't really go about it the right way. And I've been in contact with some folks in Alberta, and they're just waiting for this to happen. They're really hopeful.
So what hurdle are you currently trying to get over right now?
Okay, so what I want to let everybody know right now, and there's a deadline on this, so it is time sensitive. I don't want to say it's urgent because it's not life altering, but really,
it could be life altering.
It could be.
What if someone sleeps in and loses their job? Like that is legit.
Yes, but more importantly, let's get really serious about it. Is when we fall back in November. Here's the real problem with the time change. When darkness is suddenly thrown upon us. and we have distracted drivers out there. We've got kids walking home from school at all sorts of different times. That's when suddenly there's going to be pedestrian incidents, there's going to be accidents. ICBC claims are going to go up the Monday after we fall back because it's dangerous. There's accidents, and this is where it gets really important. Every single Monday when I watch the news over the province, there is an incident, and it's related directly to the time change.
So you're saying if we stop the time change, we could forego paying for even more ICBC bullshit.
Yes, and I also think that, sure, there's always going to be accidents. There's people who are drinking and driving. There's people who are distracted driving. But having this extra element just throws another really risky opportunity out there on the roads. And when we spring forward, I don't even understand why this is, but the heart attacks increase, the heart attacks rate increase. Yeah. And I don't really get that, but workplace productivity. I mean, you have got a baby now, so you watch. Like, we've had people, we've been doing this 4 years. When we started doing this, there was people who, they didn't really care about it, right? Now they're on board. They're like, oh my gosh, I have a 2-year-old. When can we stop this time change? And it's so funny to see how people's views change depending on what's going on in their life.
What are you saying? Like, instead of waking up at 6:37, she's gonna wake up at 5:30?
Oh, you watch.
Not a big deal. For
Animals. Oh, people get crazy over their animals at the time change. They're whining. They're waiting to be fed, and they still have to wait another hour. Right. Like, there is just, so.
I guess it is quite random.
It is, and you talk to teachers. Teachers have the unruly students after the time change that they have to deal with. But there is a lot about the time change. But more importantly, there's this economic impact. And now that we have the local Chamber of Commerce, the BC Chamber of Commerce, and tourism industry, Tourism BC has stated that if we can stay on summer permanently, it will benefit them incredibly. And those things do add up. And if there's an economic spin-off, and we don't save money by changing time back and forth now, there's definitely a cost to it.
Absolutely. I think I was on the other side of the fence when you started.
I know you were. I remember that. There was a few people that were like, oh, what are you doing? What are you talking about? And we're even learning a lot. And I listened to some interviews where they've interviewed actual experts. Bob and I are not experts. We're learning as we go.
Bob is a safety expert. Okay,
Bob is a safety. Yeah.
He's a safety professional.
Bob is all about the safety, right? But we're learning as we go, and we're thinking, oh my gosh, that is true. We are not living over at a senior's home where these seniors are wandering around confused, wanting to eat, and the bedtime's changing, and it affects them as well. So there's some things, and mental health, people with sleep disorders, people who are really, truly having adverse effects to this, and we're not really seeing that. We just, we have our own sort of like pet peeves when we first started this, but learning more about it, we realized that this is just unnecessary, and
totally.
It really is.
It really messes up with people's. I use the term energy units, right? Everyone has a specific amount of energy units, and you can expel them in certain ways. For some reason, the 40-hour work week is supposed to be the be-all, end-all energy unit expulsion. And it's like, no, that's not how I work. I could get more done in 1 hour if I use all my 40 units in that 1 hour than most people can understand. Does that make sense?
No.
It makes total sense.
You are going, wow. Like, yeah, you're one of those exceptions. Yeah,
But
you were right,
I understand, like we're at the point in society we can finally have like a real honest conversation of like, hey guys, why are we putting all these roadblocks in our way? Which it sounds like time to change. To me, I just don't want to change the stove anymore.
Well, one thing I will mention, while you and I were chatting here, City Councillor Kathy Sinclair came in, and I would like to back up and mention, Kathy Sinclair, Arjun Singh, and at the time Donovan Cavers were 3 city councillors that were on board with us from the beginning, like wanting to push this through and go through to the UBCM. And it's kind of interesting to me because even though this all started in Kamloops, most of our support has actually come from outside of Kamloops through other constituents. And Linda Larson is one of our strongest supporters. She's MLA in Boundaries to Milkameen, and we have met with her. She's tabled the bill in the legislature up in Hudson Hope. They put forth, there's a constituent in Grand Forks that put this forth, and just getting the support. But now that the UBCM narrowly, put it through, just little by little, Nevin, there's all these I guess you could call them positives, like, oh, there's a win.
Totally.
And we've never really gotten out there and saying, oh my gosh, we're winning. But what we are saying is we're getting closer. This is the closest we've ever been. And I just want everybody to understand how important this survey is, because and you know what, I will say it, even if you don't agree and you like the time change for some reason, at least have your voice heard. Don't think for a minute, oh, is it really going to matter? Because it does. And with this being so close and knowing that California, Oregon, and Washington State have all unanimously, the numbers are just crazy. Like, I think in Washington State, it was 90-6 in favor of staying on summer permanently.
And they were like closest trade, international trade partners. Like, that's just mind-blowing.
Yeah, for sure. And so that really makes a big difference. And Jay Inslee, the governor of Washington State, he signed off on it. California has voted on this now. Those 3 states do have to get the approval from Congress. And we know that will happen. Mr. Horgan doesn't have to get approval from anybody. Like, honestly, he could wake up tomorrow and he could do this. It could just happen. He did that with Family Day, with when it was different from Alberta to BC, and he changed it. He could do this, but I'm just so pleased that there is some public consultation going on, and they had to. There was no other. Would you believe that John Horgan has stated publicly that he gets more correspondence on this issue than anything else? So
very interesting.
Yeah, isn't that weird? Because this is a non-controversial topic.
It's pretty bipartisan. It's like, okay,
yeah.
You want to make more money? Just stop the time change, and you'll stop wasting money on accidents.
Right.
And
I mean, overall, there's little pieces to it, but it's just one of those things that's not necessary. I don't know. This was probably before your time, Nevin, but if you can believe this, I'm going to shock you here. There was a day when people used to smoke in bars.
Oh, I fucking hated that. I remember going to a Casey's with my family once, and it was a smoking one, and we banned smoking where I grew up, but it wasn't banned elsewhere. Mm-hmm. And it was the only place, and when it was 9 o'clock, we were all hungry and young, and I did not want to be there. I was like, Mom, Dad, take me out. I hated it.
Well, guess what? So when they announced they were going to ban smoking in bars, there was a bunch of local bar owners that thought they were going to go out of business. How can we do this to our great customers who drink and smoke at the same time? Guess what? Those bars are still open. Nobody talks about that issue anymore. And this is what I really want to get out there. I can promise you that this time change topic will stop only when the time change stops. There are so many supporters out there wanting it to stop, and there's people out there that don't care either way. They actually don't care, but you know what they're so annoyed with is listening to this.
It's almost an interesting topic of just tabling everyone just being yeah, we all agree on something for once.
Right, and now for those people who say, okay, you people, I'm so tired of this, I don't even care, what's the big deal? They're actually coming on board with us now because they're saying they get it. They get the fact that if they want to stop hearing about this, because twice a year for the last 50 years, they have to listen to interviews, they have to listen to now us, and they have to listen to social media exploding about it. If they really want this conversation to stop, when they fill out that survey, they should say, yes, stay on summer permanently.
I wonder what the media attention value is every time change.
Oh.
Or the actual economic value of just having people not change 3 different clocks, their stove, their car, and something else, right? And in that 7 minutes, let's say roughly, of doing it or whatever it be, how much more money could have been made?
Right.
Or spent, or have some sort of
and efforts being
value.
Put to something else.
Yeah.
Just stopping this conversation and making the effort. And I get there's some things that are things that need to be worked through, but overall everyone's going to adjust. And when you talk to people up in Fort St. John, Creston, up in the Peace region, they laugh at us. Really, they do. They think it's hilarious that we still change the time. They can't believe it. Saskatchewan, there's places, and the European Union, who are always ahead of us on things. The European Union has scrapped their time change. They're doing it differently. They're letting each country sort of decide which time they want to be on, which is interesting. But they've stopped it. They're just saying, there's no need for it. So I think once that's proven, and also looking at the health and safety of all this, scrap it, abolish it. Turkey abolished it about 4 years ago. And when you look at the results from the places that have stopped the time change, and you see it's positive. Now, I will give you one tiny little argument that I like it when people bring this up, because it's the only valid one that I'm happy to explain what I've learned on this. So there are some parents out there who say, wait a minute, if we're on summer permanently, won't that mean that for a kind of a few weeks to a month in the dead of winter, the kids are going to have to go to school in the dark? That's their biggest worry. So Guess what I say to that? This is what's really interesting. There's a professor, university, it's in the States, I don't have it with me, but he did a thesis and on this topic, and it was really interesting to read. He's actually done studies and research to back this, that in the morning, when we're driving to work, we are at our best driving form. We're driving to work, we're fresh, we've had a night's sleep. We're actually at our best. We're going to work, our phones aren't pinging, nothing major is happening at 7:38 in the morning in our lives. And so we're going to work knowing that kids are going to school. Okay, so that's when we're at our best. Well, you know when we're at our worst is coming home from work between 4 and 6. Now, when darkness is put upon people at 4 o'clock during that fall back, and everyone's coming home, their phones are going off, they've had a stressful day at work. Kids are coming home at different times because of extracurricular activities, choir, band, homework. So they're coming home anytime between 4 and 6. So drivers aren't even aware like what time where the kids are. They're distracted, it's stressful, and that's when it's most dangerous. So they've proven that it's safer for kids to walk to school dark mornings than walking home dark afternoons. And in all honesty, there's not a lot of kids that even walk to school anymore. These parents are dropping them off. I'll say that much.
Isn't that the whole, millennials, you're so weak, blah,
but
blah, blah,
for
blah.
those that do,
I won't let my kid walk to school.
And look it up north. It doesn't even get light until 9:30 a.m. Kids are already in school. They've gone to school in the dark, and they're used to it. So we will adjust to that. Another thing that he found out, this is really strange. You might know this more than me, Nevin, but I found this out. Criminals, not that I'm just saying.
What are you saying?
I'm just saying criminals are sleeping between 7 and 8 a.m., most of them, okay? They're not sort of up thinking, I want to get a job done. But a lot of criminals who are out doing break-ins and whatnot, it's during that dark time between 4 and 7 p.m. And again, so that just takes our kids sort of off, and it's a little bit daylight, save the light, and that's just another thing. And one parent reported that kids will much rather, when they're at that awkward age where they're too old for a babysitter, but they can stay home alone after school, they're more nervous and full of anxiety to stay home after school when it's dark out than when there's more light.
That's
so fair. There's all sorts of things that I think that if people just really listen and look at the research, maybe go to our Facebook page, you look for the animated clock with really sad hands. The clock is tired, the hands have been going back and forth too much. Look for that. And then we do have a lot of, and there's people who do throw in sort of the devil's advocate, let's look into this, and there's a lot of great conversation on there. We welcome people to sort of give us something to consider, right?
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it's just like a topic that's just like, at this point, why not?
Right.
Like we're almost wasting time and legislation and dollars over what?
Right. And you know what? It's funny. When Bob and I started this in 2015, you were around when we started this. I was telling you, that was 2015. Our goal, believe it or not, was 5 years. We wanted to have this complete by 2020. We gave ourselves 5 years to really work on it and get meetings with politicians. Right? I know. So here's our goal. 1 year from now, Nevin, we are fingers crossed. We feel 1 year from now.
Canada Day, 2020.
Wouldn't that be nice? But we will be announcing that there will be no more falling back for November of 2020, right? So this is our goal, is 2020 is when we won't fall back. We want to stay on summer permanently. There's some people who are surprised that that's the only option on the survey is, would you like to stay on summertime permanently, or do you want to keep changing the time? People are wondering why that's their only two options. And in all honesty, once you sort of look at the research and you see what they're doing in the Pacific Northwest, it just makes sense.
It doesn't make economic sense.
It totally does. And some people are like, oh, well, why are they only giving us two choices? In the end, if there was a provincial referendum where we actually went to the polls and asked 3 questions, and it said,
what a waste of money,
it would be a waste of money. And also 80% of the province would vote to stay on summer anyway. We just see that in all the media polls. I've looked on all the media polls that are out there, and everyone says stay on summer. But there's so much confusion. Some people are like, when they ask the question, should we ditch daylight? Some people will say, should we ditch daylight saving time? And people are like, yeah, ditch it. We don't need it. But what they're meaning is ditch the time change. We don't need the time change. So it's kind of confusing the way some of these headlines are. So I prefer to say, stop the time change. Like, whatever. Personally, I don't even care. I don't care what time we stay on. I don't. I just know that
there needs to be some sort of normalcy. There's some sort of, baseline.
In Creston, Cranbrook is right there, I think they're half an hour or something. They make doctor appointments. They're specialists that they have to go over to Cranbrook. And there's so much confusion because Creston is not on the same time, and that's down in the south, and yeah,
now you're messing with people's medicals.
Oh yeah, totally. There's people who go to their doctor appointments and it's the wrong time. And there's a lot of spoof videos out there if you Google the time change, and there's people who are just joking about they wake up in this different planet, but really it's Arizona, because they don't change their time there.
But the tourism aspect, right? The tourism dollars we're missing is quite interesting, too. 'Cause
yeah.
You're involved in a whole bunch of stuff around town in the tourism industry now.
I love
Kamloops is all about experiences now. Like, tourism
totally.
Kamloops should be one of the biggest booming resources for Kamloops for the next decade.
They are so awesome at Tourism Kamloops right now. Beverly DeSantis, the whole team, Angela. We've got so much excitement going on. Hello. Hi, Glenn. I'll tell you what we're doing with Tourism Kamloops. I'm involved in this. There's this great concept called Lovin' the Loops tour buses, because we love the loops, don't we? So what you do is you get on the bus and you don't know where you're going. It's a mystery. And the idea is to show locals in Kamloops what is going on in this city. Someone said to me one time, what's there to do in Kamloops? And I always say to them, what isn't there to do? We need to clone ourselves. There are so many different things to do. So Tourism Kamloops is introducing Kamloopsians to these things. So when we have visitors, when we have guests coming to town, we can say, you got to go check this out. It's fantastic. And we can be our own, we can sort of advocate when we have guests to sort of show them what we have in Kamloops. And so kudos to Tourism Kamloops for treating the locals to this through the whole year. And if you would like to get on that bus, go to Tourism Kamloops and just Google Lovin' the Loops tour bus, and you fill out a form and you sort of say the things you like to do, and you could end up doing something like that. Cool. But you don't know. The day you get on the bus, you have no idea where you're going. It's like a mystery. It's so fun.
Oh.
Love it.
Exciting.
Yeah, I know. I'm hosting one this Friday, and it's geared towards the younger crowd. So there's going to be parents with kids. So you can imagine we'll be going to some kid-oriented.
So like my baby would enjoy this sort of stuff. Or is that too young?
That might be too young, but you know what? You could come on it because she would enjoy like the sights and the sounds for sure.
And it's a walking tour.
It's on the bus. That's right.
So
it's on the bus, and then we'll go to destinations where they can look around. I'm not allowed to say. I'm trying so hard right now not to say.
See, I'm prying. I'm pulling.
You are. I'm
good at this shit.
Yeah, but I'm also really good at confidentiality, so we're not allowed to say.
Mouth.
No, but you know what? I will not reveal. The last one we did, I'll tell you what we did in the first one I hosted. We got up to the visitor center. They're playing games. There's red carpet. They've got refreshments out to enjoy before we get on the bus. We get on the bus, and I get a megaphone, if you can believe it. They give me a megaphone.
Oh, really? You needed one?
Yes. It's a beautiful pink megaphone. And so we chat. We have trivia. We give out prizes. And I let everybody know that they're not going to know where we're going. And then as we get rolling and we get closer to our destination, I say, okay, everyone, you can scratch your first little circle. So they scratch, and they see the first logo. And our first one was Tailgate Tours. So we went out to Bachelor. You do? Yeah, Glenn.
Yeah,
so we went out to the trails, and Glenn was waiting for us there, and he took us on a nice little hike out in Bachelor. The trails are beautiful. Did a little tour there with us. We got back on the bus, came down Tranquille on the bus, and I said, okay, everybody, you can scratch your next circle. And it was here. It was Mustache and Go. So that's the logo that came up. Everyone came here and got treated to coffee and sandwiches. Can you believe that? Then we got back on the bus and got going. And then I said, okay, it's our last destination. And it was interior fly fishing. So we got taught how to cast a reel and throw it out there. Like, honestly, so those are the kind of things that we're doing. And it's going to happen all year. So it's good. It's fantastic. So I just hope that the locals really realize that we have so much to offer here in Kamloops. And, look at our downtown. We have the nicest downtown in the province of BC. I'll tell you what, Nelson comes a close second, but Kamloops, #1 downtown. Beautiful.
You think so?
Beautiful, 100%. So much history to the downtown
True.
Kamloops. You look around, like, I just can't believe how great they've done at restoring heritage, but still, there's a modern feel to it. The landscape,
even
the
the
foliage.
Vic, Frank's becoming the Vic, whatever. That's kind of a nice touch.
It is beautiful. The Riverside Park, music in the park every night. Come on, and really good quality, something for everybody. I just think I think it's so great what's happening here in Kamloops. You know what else is happening here in Kamloops? This is the home of Stop the Time Change.
This is the what?
Home of Stop the Time Change.
You bring it back.
So when we stop the time change, we can say it was because of Kamloops. We can put that on the
Kamloops
map.
has done a lot, like with the Chamber of Commerce, nationally and whatnot. Kamloops is pretty notable. It's been popping up in the news a lot. There's a reason why we've been having lots of people stopped through Kamloops in recent months and weeks and days and today.
I know. It is. And it's true. I mean, Kamloops has a voice. And I think that we make that voice heard. And sometimes, and what I think is great is healthy debate. I also think that that is really important.
How did your performance as a dude?
Oh, yes.
Did you play Lil Nas X?
What I did was I went in the mixed judge pageant for is that what you're talking
Yes.
about? For Ask Wellness. And yeah, I was very nervous because I had to be in character, and I'm not an actress. Like being someone else was really hard. But yeah, I was Harry Legg, an old retired farmer from the Knutsford area, and I had to be in Oh, I know why you're thinking of a mixed judge. We just saw Glenn Hilke. Glenn Hilke walk by.
That and Lil Nas X just came out as gay. So he is a black trap country star who is gay, which just breaks every single social norm. And that's why I kind of like wanted to push you use that song. Did you use it in the end?
I didn't use it because it was just I was too busy, and the music part was very, very short. Yes, there is a video, and you know what?
Send me the video, and I'll put like the background music of Lil Nas X. It just makes so much sense.
Do it. Yes, I loved it when you played it for me. I thought it was fantastic, very catchy, and I think I could run to that.
Lil Nas X actually just met with Young Buck. Now, Young Buck was recently found with a trans woman and is adamantly not gay and is fighting with 50 Cent over G-Unit, and 50 Cent this week actually deleted his whole YouTube channel, Young Buck. So it's a very important song for the conversation right now because Lil Nas is actually opening up. He's headlining at Calgary Stampede at some point.
So crazy, man. Well, you know what I'll do is I'm waiting for Peter Cameron Inglis from Mastermind Studios to send me to take out my poem. I did cowboy poetry, very indicative of Kamloops history, and it's all about acceptance, tolerance, and coming out. So I did this poem, and I will send it over to you, and then maybe we can put that music to it. Yeah,
because Lil Nas X blew up because of memes, right? So your commentary. Right, literally, in a way that reaches a whole different demographic, right? Is just extrapolated or
that's just another a thing about Kamloops, right? I mean, the Pride Parade is going to be in August, and there's so much going on here, and I'm really proud to be a Kamloopsian. We're 90,000 people, and not everyone has the same beliefs, not everyone sees things the same, but guess what? We're all the same. We are all the same. We all want the same things in life. We want to just make a living. We want to be loved and accepted, and I just think that we have to just keep that in mind about tolerance. It's hard sometimes because we want to push our opinions on people, but I can tell you honestly, Nevin, when it comes to the time change,
I'm intolerant towards intolerance, though.
I know you are. And it's hard because we want everyone to think the way we do, but imagine what the world would be like if everyone liked the same music or everyone believed the same thing. It'd be weird. But I get there's some really important things that like when we see groups that are very, anti-tolerant,
or polarizing groups.
Yeah, that's really hard to accept for sure. But I just think that in the end, we're all humans, and we all are. We're here for a very short time. Like our life is really, really short. So
it's our kids who inherit the earth, anyways. Which so many people have the short-sighted view of. I need to get mine. You don't need to get yours. And they forget they die. You can't bring money to the grave.
That's right.
Drake, you can't bring your money to the grave. You cannot.
Yeah, that's right. No, so I think that we're going in a good direction here in Kamloops. But my first priority, of course, July 19th is the deadline for that survey, and it takes less than 2 minutes. It is so easy. It's straightforward. It's well worded. We got to get this survey done. Every single British Columbian needs to do this survey, and of course, I would like them all to say that they want to stop changing the time. They want to stay on summer. It would be so fantastic. But you know what? If you like for some reason changing the time, we'll let your voice be heard, right?
Cool. Awesome. Is there anything we haven't talked about, Tara, that you want to put on record?
Nevin, like seriously, I could go on all day.
I know you could.
Like I could go on.
I've places to be at some point. Got a joint that needs to be smoked.
I've got a wedding coming up this weekend. I won't reveal.
Don't wear white.
I've got a wedding that.
No wearing white.
No, but I matched it.
Wait, you matched the white?
The couple.
Oh, you matched the couple.
The couple. Like, I'm a matchmaker, right? That's another thing that's going on in Kamloops. We have a personalized matchmaker. Might as well use this forum.
Yeah, why not?
So
I'm surprised we haven't had you on before.
But it's going really well. I mean, there's some frustrations. And in fact, my next column coming up Friday in Kamloops this week is about what we just talked about not might not have the same opinion, when people don't have the same opinion. Honestly, Nevin, I know a couple, the woman goes to church every Sunday. She goes to mass, and he doesn't. And you know what? They are so in love. They're so happy.
Yep.
And guess what she says? She says, he doesn't ask me to watch hockey with him. Why would I ask him to go to church with me? And I wish more people could see the bigger part of this. Like some people say, oh, I really want someone who dances. You know what? That's great if you find someone who dances, but it's not the most important thing. Don't discount someone who's a terrible dancer because they may make your heart dance.
Yeah, what if they introduce you to rock climbing and that's your passion?
Right.
Right? Like, what if you've always
So
been looking
true.
for something and you discount something? Like my
People-
wife and I are different, for sure.
Tell me about it. I'm like, what? How did that happen?
See?
So, but you know what I always say to people? When was the last time you saw someone go into Save On Foods with a list of grocery items that they don't want to buy? Who does that? Who goes in and says, don't get radishes, don't get spinach, don't get macaroni? Nobody does that. They go in with what they want. People need to focus on what they want and what's positive in others, not the negative part like, oh, I don't like beards, I don't like piercings, I don't like tattoos. So what? You know what? Someone might have a beard that might be the best match for you, and you may suddenly fall in love.
I think as people expect like a cherry tree just to blossom once you see someone versus like taking an old pit and putting it in the ground and growing something.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's like you can just go to Home Depot and buy a cherry tree and plant it, but you aren't going to get cherries immediately.
Yeah, like who wants to tell someone, oh, you need to believe in this, or you need to stop listening to that music, you need to do this. It just doesn't work. And I think that opposites do attract, but for sure there's important things. Like if someone just is against smoking, if someone doesn't want a partier, if someone, of course wants kids, if they don't want kids, those are really important.
Right? Compromise isn't talked about a lot.
And compromise is important when it comes to things like, hey, I like cross-country skiing, you like downhill. Maybe I'll try your sport if you try mine. But still, I mean, if someone wants more children and some person doesn't, then you need to move on, right? Those are important things, right? So if someone, I do have someone like that. I've got someone who wants more kids and, so I have to find a lady who wants more kids too, right? So you just can't tell people, oh, you should have another baby, but you can tell someone, come on, try cross-country skiing. What's the big deal? Right? Like there's so much.
So
Nevin. Oh my gosh, there's so much.
You get paid to tell people. You're like that like mom that like asks all the time, when are you going to give me grandkids? But you get paid for it.
Yeah, no, it's a good time, but you know what? There's a lot more love in Kamloops right now. I'll tell you that.
Totally.
It's fun.
It's
fun
changed
to
a lot
see.
in the last year or two.
People are getting tired of the online dating. They have all these unrealistic expectations. People are disposable now. They're swiping based on looks alone. And I'm trying to get people to look something deeper, look inside, like look at what really makes this person tick. Because people start to fall in love and start to really see their compatibility and see the chemistry once they have more conversations and they get together. Like you can't expect fireworks on the first date, maybe the third or fourth, but give it time.
See, that's what's funny is actually like right now on Instagram, your demographic is like just so easy to reach because you're actually one of the largest growing demographics on Instagram.
I am?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, the 40 to 6-year-old woman demographic is exploding.
Oh, really?
On Instagram because you're just starting to adopt it.
You're right.
The young kids have actually all
Remember,
moved
you
on.
actually got me set up on Instagram. You taught me how to do Instagram back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day.
Back in the day.
But like the young kids are actually moving off social networks, and they've actually created their own form of.
They keep leaving because us oldies catch up with them, right? We're Snapchatting,
Yes and no.
then they're like, "Oh my God, my mom's on Snapchat. I gotta leave."
They're also just conscious or more conscious about their online image, and they're very tactile in how they approach it, and it's actually almost much healthier in a way, and also very scary when you go down certain rabbit holes.
Wow.
So your demographic, yes, because you're looking for that, say 20 to 6-year-old looking to settle down and get legit and get serious because
Real
they're paying you money,
relationships.
right?
Yeah.
But these younger kids,
Not a lot of money. Can I throw that in?
yeah, it's quite affordable.
Very. And in fact, I also prospect. So I don't charge people to go out on dates with a client. If I'm working for someone and they really want to meet someone, and that gets back to the life being busy. When we started this interview, we talked about people are so darn busy, they don't even have time to look after their dating.
Harry Legg should make some wanted photo posters for
Yeah, I
wanted,
should.
mustached man,
Yeah,
bandit, rides
totally.
horses.
That sounds like Billy Miner. Billy Miner, the old train robber. But yeah, no, it's true. People are so busy, and they just and this is what I say to people. You know, if you're looking for a job, if you want to change your career, you got to put some resumes out there. You got to go for some interviews. You got to look, and maybe you'll get shortlisted. But you know what? If you don't get the job the first time, are you going to rip up that resume and say, "Oh, I'm done with this"? No, you keep looking. You apply. You go for those interviews because you don't want to miss out on a job that's the right fit. Right?
The only regret you should ever have is not trying.
Totally. And there's nothing wrong with meeting a new friend. There's nothing wrong. I've had couples that I've set up, and believe it or not, one of them has set that partner up with one of their best friends because they think that they were so suited. So the universe has weird ways of working their magic in with all what I'm doing.
Where you're like, yeah, I'll pay money to find a mate. Yeah, get your investment out. Hook your buddy up.
I'm like an agent, man. I'm just like, I'm out there looking for people, and I will take.
You should set up Luke.
Oh, wow.
Because I don't want him with my sister.
Yeah, he's a cutie, that one. Yeah, that's for sure. But no, there's all sorts of things happening. I mean, matchmaking, love in the loops, which is kind of funny because with Tourism Kamloops, love in the loops, I kind of think with my matchmaking, I'm kind of bringing love to the loops.
You got Pride coming along.
Yeah. Oh,
August.
Totally. It is really growing, and so we just got to sort of get it together. Once we stop the time change, then we can move on to more important things. But yeah, I'm so glad that you got me on here. This was a really quick setup. We didn't even have to check levels. We didn't have to.
It's so easy. I just watch the levels, and then I just export it.
Did you have to turn down my level a lot?
I turned it up and then turned it down. I do like a little bit in post, but the sound on this is better than most radio stations without doing any real work. Yeah. And if I really want to, put in work, I just send the file to you, and you can do the work.
Yeah, right on.
Right? Because the real valuable stuff is maybe 20 minutes ago, and then there's lots of interesting whatevers, right?
Yeah, for sure.
If you're gonna say it, you might as well put it out there, and it's interesting going back now and revisiting certain things and just seeing the growth, whatever it be. It's just like, we have walls going up, around Kamloops and businesses popping up, and
I know
people
it is
change of faces, like just this whole joint right here, right? There's it's an interesting stream of people who pass by and they want to see what we're doing, right?
I know. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, I think it's great. And I think that that's the thing about Kamloops. I'll tell you something, nothing against Kelowna, but Kamloops is more about, who you are. Kelowna is more about what you drive, what your job is. But Kamloops has got this feeling of, we look at each other when we say, how are you? We really mean it. Of course, there's all sorts of, different kind of personalities. But I think deep down, we're really known as the friendly, sort of, compassionate, empathetic, and friendly people. We care.
Oh, totally. Mm-hmm. I don't think I've ever had really anyone, with a negative, actual face-to-face just yet.
Yet. I like how you say yet. That's right. Oh, my goodness. But, yeah, so someone asked me, hey, Tara, so when the time change gets stopped, what will you do? Like when this actually happens.
Sleep in.
Bob and I, no way. Me sleep? No way. Bob and I will throw a party in Kamloops. Like a stop the time change party like none other. We're going to invite some, everybody. It's going to be so fun. There will be a charge. No. Like BYO, whatever.
Yeah, something will happen.
But we will do something for sure because, it's been a long time coming. And as long as this happens in 2020, what a perfect time for it, right?
Yeah, 2020, looking to the future. It's a good metaphor.
Yeah, we're just hanging on, hanging on. The only other thing that's happening big in my life is Schitt's Creek is coming to an end after season 6, so we're done with that. That makes me really sad. My favorite Canadian show. It's just so great. Eugene Levy and Dan Levy. Oh my gosh.
CBC's done some interesting shows in recent.
Working Moms. Have you seen that? Yeah. It's so good.
They're have you ever actually used the CBC streaming app or whatever?
I haven't.
It's they've got an interesting, impressive collection of stuff, right? So it's maybe I should actually look into grant money one day. Yeah,
do it.
That sounds like work.
Do it. Well, my Tuesday nights will be freed up after season 6 is done. So
there's some interesting commentary on Netflix. I'm watching. I'm like, am I paying Netflix to push on me right now? No different than watching CBC or anything at all, right? But it's
right.
It's a beautiful world where you look and see like, oh yeah, they're just trying to make people more tolerant.
Totally.
That's all the stories
are.
are.
A lot of the shows now are, and
It's all
that's
about
so
tolerance.
good. It is, for sure. Awesome. Well, thanks, Nevin.
Cool.
This has been
You want to leave it
fun.
there?
Yeah.
Where can people find you if they want to reach out?
Well, for Stop the Time Change, let's start there because I really want people to join our Facebook page. Just go to @StopTimeChange in BC, or just, even Google Stop the Time Change. Go to Facebook, put Stop the Time Change, and look for that little sad animated clock. Join us. Share it. When people fill out the survey, share the survey. And if someone happens to be single and happy and looking, no matter what your age, between 25 and 85, Holmes at wheretheheartis.ca. Look me up there. And it's all good.
All right, there, Tara.
Fun.
Awesome. Well,
Fill out that survey by July 19th.
July 19th. So we got like 17 days to
Yes.
procrastinate.
Thank you.
If you're tuning in for the first time, consider subscribing on your favorite podcaster or YouTube. Just Cameo with Nevin Webster. Join the community on Instagram. I do watch and review all posts that are put on that hashtag. And till next time, I'm going to just keep on meeting people face to face in Kamloops because, I think so many people are scared to. So I do it. Shout out to all those yellow vesters who didn't show up today. I see you. Bye.